So I wanted to do this video. Talking about the state of people, the state of relationships that we're currently in. Have been in a while. So we're really at a really sad point of the concept of relationships, and generally that stems from people not having a relationship with themselves. It stems from people not understanding themselves, spending time with themselves. And when you don't do that, we have created an atmosphere of dependency when it comes to the concept of relationships, whether it be relationships with ourselves, relationships with our kids, relationships, intimate relationships. There is a atmosphere of dependency, and usually what most people are doing nowadays is they're not really looking for relationships. They're looking for people to fill the voids inside of them. They're looking for people to fill or get rid of the loneliness feeling that they have in this world. And most of the times they are running from themselves. So there is no way, and that is too much of a responsibility to put somebody else in charge of our happiness and our feelings inside. So we really have gotten to a desperate place. This is why you see people, or you see unhealthy relationships form when it comes to parenting, when it comes to relationships. This is where you have concepts like the son-husband concept, which is basically a parent depending on their child to fill the void of a husband. And it's kind of interesting that it went from, if you weren't married, something is wrong with you, to if you're not single, something is wrong with you. It's just the way that society has kind of developed over time within the last 20, 30 years of my life. But needless to say, these people are basically running from themselves, and they're not even living, they're not moving forward. They're just living basically dependency to dependency, which is an addiction, until the next dependency comes for them to feel some kind of happiness. That's no way to have a healthy relationship. That is no way to move forward and grow as a person. And in fact, it's actually destroying the environment. What I mean by environment, the social environment of humans, to the point where people would rather basically depend on their kids, depend on animals to have some kind of loving, because they can't challenge themselves to change. This is where you have people buying a whole bunch of animals and trying to fill that void and trying to feel love. But once again, it stems back from the lack of loving for themselves. It stems back the lack of understanding, the lack of nurturing of their inner child by themselves. You cannot, which I guess self-love is one of the hardest lessons as humans to learn from, because we can learn how to read a book, we can learn things, we can learn how to read a book, how to drive a car, we can learn our profession, but it's more difficult for us to teach ourselves how to love ourselves, because nobody else can teach us that. Nobody else understands what's inside of us. Nobody else can do the things for us that's necessary for us to grow. So once again, the state of relationships is kind of, I don't want to say it's doomed, but it's really bad, to the point where relationships are about growth. It's not about control. It's really about two people who understand themselves coming together to create a union, whatever that may be. That also involves your kids. Two people trying to understand themselves in life. But when you have dependencies, what you do, you get really one-sided things, where you have a person either understands themselves, or two people who don't understand themselves, and one person trying to control everything. And the control part is mostly through their insecurities, through their experiences of life, whatever life has given them. They just choose to try to control everything, and that ends up not working out at all for anybody. And really, it goes on to create more broken people, because when you're trying to control everybody and you're spewing your inner workings on other people, that goes on to affect that person. That person goes on to affect that. You're really creating a ripple effect. So it's very important that we basically take care of our inner workings. We do not run from ourselves. People think that they're getting away. They think that they're escaping. They think that the ways of avoidance is working, and it's only working for a time period. It's only a short amount of time that you can run. When it comes to our inner demons, they have more endurance than us. So the more we try to run, they're going to catch up to us one day, wherever that be. When our defenses are down, when we're going through something, and when they catch up to you, they are going to try to break your will. They're going to try to destroy everything that you have, that you worked for. And this is what happens when you don't slay your inner demons and you run from them. Now, I'm not going to say that you slay them and they're gone forever, but what I'm going to say is the more that you work on yourself, or you work on slaying or kind of weakening your inner demons, the stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually you are going to become. So the next time they pop up, you're going to be able to handle it more than you were able to before. But when you're always running from things in life, you don't become stronger. You just become, you're basically just delaying the process of healing, delaying the process of building who you are. You're delaying the inevitable. So I encourage you to have healthy relationships, have healthy boundaries. I encourage you to love yourself, and that's when I say love yourself, I'm not talking about narcissism, because that's what most people think it is nowadays. They think it's just being all out selfish, F everybody, I'm gonna do whatever I want. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about disciplining yourself, nurturing yourself, spending time with yourself, and your overall happiness, not depending on other people for you to feel better about yourself. That's insanity. That's really insanity. Once again, you see that in parenting. If a kid is a certain way, if a kid doesn't love them a certain way, you see a lot of parents break down and have like mental breaks, and that's not how relationships are meant to be. But those are just my thoughts. You can take with it as you will. You can go on to live as you will. Understand there are consequences and things for our actions, whether we see it now or whether they catch up with us later on in life. So I know this video wasn't short, had a lot to say, touched on a lot of stuff, mainly about self-love, relationships, how our choices go on affect other people, create ripple effects in our timeline and other people's timeline, people that we don't even know. So TheAPFTruth.